If you are thinking of quitting your job to chase more money or more meaning, pause for a second. I'm not here to stop you. In fact, I encourage this. But I just want to make sure you are equipped with a plan. The wrong move can set you back financially, but the right moves can completely shift your trajectory in your career and towards building wealth. So whether you are changing roles or switching industries, I want you to know that being intentional about this move is what makes all the difference. Hello and welcome. My name is Lissa. I'm a certified financial planner, an accredited financial counselor, and I'm the creator of Hello Money Bootcamp. I want to see more of you, all of you, building wealth, but especially women of color who have historically been left out of those conversations. Now, when I was 24 years old, I made a big pivot from working in sports and entertainment on a literal movie studio lot to the tech world, where I started working at Google. I went from making $29,000 a year to hitting six figures within a couple of years. Now, I will tell you that luck played a big role in my career trajectory. Plus, maybe my master's degree helped out, but low-key, it was really my two bosses taking a chance on me. But the thing is, you can't count on luck, especially if you're a part of a marginalized group. What you can count on, however, in your career is being strategic. So I am going to share 7 tips that I wish I knew back when I was 24. Each tip is designed to help you pivot your career with clarity, with strategy, and of course, a better shot at increasing your pay. Tip number 1, audit your transferable skills. This is your foundation. This means taking a hard look at all of the skills you have, at all of the projects and tasks and various things you do at your job, and analyzing them. You want to do a deep dive into your own experience, your past projects, your responsibilities, your accomplishments. Take a look at all of it and ask yourself, which parts of this work are transferable? Transferable skills are skills that you can apply to many different jobs, many different roles, many different industries. Maybe you've been leading a bunch of team meetings. Maybe you analyze data. Do you manage any vendors? Are you responsible for creating training guides or training people in general? Is it your job to launch new programs? These aren't just tasks or projects, but they could also qualify as leadership skills, data analysis, stakeholder management, instructional design, and different types of project management and project ownership. If you can identify and communicate your skills clearly, you are going to give yourself more leverage in the job market. And more leverage in the job market means more leverage when it comes to your salary negotiations. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've seen a lot of friends try to make up skills in their resume to match a job posting. And I think that works sometimes, but it can only get you so far. At some point, you're going to be found out if you lie about the skills that you have. Instead, you should look at what you can actually do. What are your strengths? What are your skills? And how can those translate into the new job, the new career, the new industry that you are looking in? It costs no money to do this. It just takes some time, some energy, and some self-reflection. Tip number 2 for your career change, if you want to help boost your pay, is to identify high growth, high paying roles. Here's the thing. You could be the best at your job, right? You could be the most organized assistant, the best project coordinator. But if your industry is shrinking or your company isn't doing so well, then it's not going to matter how great you are at your job. It's going to be hard to get promotions. It's going to be hard to increase your salary. And there's always that chance of being laid off. So rather than just chasing titles and salaries, you also want to consider trends. What industries are growing? What companies are doing well? What roles are consistently hiring and paying well? There are so many resources online these days. You can check LinkedIn Jobs, Glassdoor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There are many places that you can look up to see not only job descriptions and salary bands, but also how different industries are either growing or shrinking. Another thing you want to look out for is some roles and job titles show up in different industries, but they pay very differently depending on the sector and the company. For example, a program manager at a nonprofit organization versus one at a tech company can mean wildly different pay. I mean, sometimes they might be the same pay, but sometimes they might be very different, even if you see overlap in some of those skills. Now, one other side note I want to point out is if you are going to change careers and you're actually moving into a field that you're very passionate about, but maybe that industry doesn't pay more historically, I don't want you to worry. You can still aim to make that career shift. Maybe it's going to help give you a better work-life balance, or it'll be an environment that you're happier in. The thing is, you can still put yourself on a path to boost your pay. Aim to find roles and companies and organizations that match your current salary or have upward potential to increase later. It's not always one or the other. You don't always have to pick money versus your passion. Sometimes you can find something where there's something you're kind of passionate about and there's pretty good money there. But in order to find that out, you got to do some research and keep an open mind. Tip number 3. Work on crafting your career story. This is particularly important if you are completely shifting gears, if you are moving industries, if you are trying to do something completely brand new or different from what you were just previously doing. So if you think about it, your resume outlines everything that you've done. But what you also want to have is a story. You want to have an answer to the question if someone asks you,
why are you making this career switch?
So if you don't know how to craft a story, you can use this formula as a starting point. The past pivot value formula. Basically, in 1 or 2 sentences, you're going to say what you've been doing in the past, why you're pivoting, and what value you bring to the table. So I've spent the last 5 years doing project management at a tech company. Now I'm pivoting into the financial world where I bring strong analytic skills and people skills to the table. Okay, that's not the best story, but it's a starting point. I just came up with that off the top of my head. But if you sit down, even for just a few minutes, I guarantee you can come up with a pretty good story as to what explains your career change. Crafting your career story isn't just going to give you clarity, but like I said, you're going to have that story ready to go if anyone asks, like in an interview. Now, on top of simply knowing your story, some career experts recommend including that in your resume. A quick sentence at the top that explains why you're making a shift into a different industry or into a different function. What you want to do with your career change and pivot is to be strategic. If somebody asks you, why are you switching careers? And you're just like,
I don't know, I kind of just want to try something new. I don't know. I hated the old industry.
That's not going to be as powerful as showing that your career move is intentional, that you know how you provide value and you know what you're passionate about and you know the skills and value you can provide to this new company and industry. Show that you have good intention and a clear path to what you want rather than trying to make up lies on a resume or trying to make up like a cover story behind the fact that you simply just want more money. Right? Everybody wants more money. I think you can definitely make more money in a career shift, but how you approach your career change is going to determine whether or not you can get that boost in pay. So craft that story. Think about what makes you uniquely valuable in that new role or new company, and tap into those transferable skills that we talked about in tip number 1. If you can connect the dots for the hiring manager or anyone who looks at your resume or interviews you, it's going to be much easier for them to picture you in that role and easier for you to justify a higher salary. All right, 3 tips down, 4 to go. But quick reminder, please like the video if you are getting something out of it. And if you are in the middle of a career change and maybe want to bounce some ideas off of me and everyone else in the community, let me know in the comments. All right, tip number 4, consider a bridge move. So a bridge move or a bridge job is a short-term, temporary, or a transitional position that can help you shift between 2 different stages of your career or your life. For example, it could be a part-time job that pays the bills while you are doing some personal development and building skills for a job change. It could also be you staying at your current company, but taking on a stretch assignment or doing some freelance or contract work outside of your job that lets you test the waters in a new industry. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a bridge. It's a transition from one thing to the next, but in that transition, while you're on that bridge, you can do some exploring. And nowadays, there are so many ways to approach it. This is kind of random, but back when I worked at Google, I had a full-time job as an administrative assistant. I worked a ton of hours, but I was also a power user of Gmail, Google Calendar, and basically the whole Google suite. I saw this email from within the company come across where they were looking for volunteers to help train other companies on Google Suite. So with my manager's support, I volunteered some of my time to help out Google's enterprise team. So basically, they were getting other companies to switch from Microsoft Outlook and other systems to using Google tools. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to travel to these companies and dip my toes into something new. So I know this was a privilege and they don't really have things like this at all companies, but I'm just giving you an example. While I worked full time, I also did this other thing where I was helping train teams at different companies like Netflix, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and a couple of others. For me, that experience didn't lead to a new role. I didn't end up leaving my job, but it absolutely could have, right? It gave me this new project that I could put on my resume, and more importantly, it showed that I had transferable skills beyond doing my administrative assistant work. Bridge moves or bridge jobs are things that can help build your value and also lead you to potential other doors. Here are a few ideas if this is something you're interested in. You could explore internal mobility. For example, is there another role on a different team that you can transition into, or some kind of short-term project that you can be on loan for? You can also look for informal growth opportunities. Would your boss or another colleague let you shadow them? Or could you propose a project in your own team that's totally different from what you currently do, but that could provide value? And finally, like I mentioned earlier, you can simply look outside of your current job. You can keep your job for stability, and in the meantime, consider freelance work, contract roles, other side projects, things that can help you build confidence, network, and also test new directions before committing fully to this career change. Doing some of this exploratory stuff will help you make smarter moves when it comes to a career change, which ultimately can help you potentially make more. Tip number 5, upskill, specifically without going back to school. The thing is, if people want to change careers and change industries, sometimes it requires getting new education, new certifications, and spending money before you make that money back. That's definitely a path you can take, but that's beyond the scope of this video. In this video, I'm helping guide you to a career change that's going to help boost your pay sooner than later. So I believe you can upskill, meaning learn new skills, without going back to school. You don't always need another degree and take time off work to make a big career change. Think about upskilling through online platforms, through attending workshops, or exploring certifications that might cost money, but are a lot cheaper than going back to school to get a degree. These options typically have a better return on investment and are a lot quicker and cheaper to do. For example, check out Google Career Certificates, check out online learning on Coursera, on Udemy, on LinkedIn Learning, and consider learning platforms that are tied to various industry software. Explore different software that different companies are using and see if you can learn it. Try to focus on skills that directly align with the roles and the companies that you are aiming for. The job market is pretty competitive, so upskilling is one of those things that can help make you more marketable, help you land interviews more easily, and can help you qualify for higher compensation and stronger leverage when it comes to negotiation. The key is making sure that those new skills directly support the type of role that you are targeting. Tip number 6, know your number and negotiate it. Before you start applying for this career change, definitely do your research. Now, I hope this is one that you're already planning on doing, but doing your research to understand salary ranges on your target roles. Better yet, talk to real people in the field when possible. So years ago, I had a mentee that I used to mentor at the school I went to for grad school. And I haven't talked to her for a couple of years, but we had a good relationship. Just a couple weeks ago, she texted me to tell me that she got hired at Google, which was really amazing, and she knew that I had worked there for over a decade. She gave me some information about the role and the level that it was, and asked my opinion on how much she should ask for in her salary negotiation. And I easily gave her that information. I gave her my take. Now, I haven't worked there for a couple of years, but I gave her everything that I knew because I want her to succeed. So even if sometimes you don't think you have someone you can ask directly, you can always go down your list of LinkedIn connections or think about people that you've known in your past who might be willing to help. And if that doesn't work, the internet has so much information that can help you understand what the right salary range is and how you can approach your negotiation. Now, in a career change, especially if you're changing industries, something to keep in mind of is you are not starting from scratch. It's not that because you are starting in a new industry that you are a newbie and that you deserve to be paid peanuts. Remember that you are pivoting, and when you pivot, you are often bringing a lot more to the table than you think. Think back to tip number 1, transferable skills. Think back to the career story that you crafted, why you are shifting careers, and the value that you can bring to this new industry. If you can remember those things, then you will know that you are worth a lot, even if it's a new role, new company, new industry. All right, we are on to the last tip. Tip number 7, don't quit without a financial runway. If you want the best possible chance at succeeding in your career change and making more money, hopefully towards the goal of building wealth, I highly suggest making sure you have financial cushions in place. It's the personal finance expert in me. I'm not going to let you make this big career move, especially if the intent is to increase your income, without making sure that your finances are in a solid place. The thing is, bills aren't going to pause just because you want to change careers. Ideally, you want to have your emergency fund already set aside, and on top of that, if you are making a leap in your career, you want a bigger cushion. Some people will leave their job completely because they need that downtime to craft their next move, and that means no more income is coming in. In that case, you need to build up a runway. You need more savings to get you by during this bridge time. But even if you plan to stay employed when you switch roles or industries, I still think having a cushion is going to give you some breathing room. Sometimes your career pivot isn't going to lead to a higher salary initially, right? Sometimes you might have to take a step down, get paid a little less for a brief moment in time because it's a growing industry where you're going to make more in a year from now. The more of a financial foundation you have, the more equipped you are for all of those different cases that can happen when you leave a stable job into something brand new. So to wrap things up, I hope you know a career change can be an amazingly smart move for your wealth journey, and it can absolutely lead to more money. A lot of times making a career switch or even just switching companies can lead to a bigger pay jump than you would get at the company that you're loyal to. Not always, but it is pretty common. In order to have the best possible chance at making more money with your career change, make sure you approach it with a plan, with a strategy, and with confidence. I hope this video was helpful, and until next time, peace out.